the liberation. We have to redo. So we have already read it once. So I'll reread sentence and let's see if it is clear. Okay. So I start. The liberation given by this perfect impersonality is real, is complete, is indispensable. So what he's saying is that the perfect impersonality is at the second level now in the spiritual planes of consciousness. There is nobody there. Remember, it's an impersonal aspect. So it's real. He's saying that is the soul becomes absolutely, the soul becomes free. It is not a prisoner of the body-mind life anymore. So that's what he's saying. The liberation given by this perfect impersonality. Perfect impersonality, you know very well, that is at the second level, the spiritual planes of consciousness. Because when you go to the third one, you get the impersonality as well as the personality. That's why he calls it the Lord of the sacrifice. Ishvara, okay, or Parameshwara. Or also you have the third one, Purushottama. In the Gita's language, Purushottama. In Srimada's language, Ishvara. The liberation given by this perfect impersonality is real, is complete, is indispensable up to that point. But is it the last word, the end of the whole matter? Can there be something more? Can even your nature can be liberated? In synthesis, we have the liberation of the soul, and the next chapter is the liberation of the nature. Because nature, then your individual nature starts putting on the divine characteristics. There is no desire, no ego, no attachment. It starts becoming almost divine nature. Okay? So that's what he's asking here. So, but is it the last word? Because many think that it is not necessary to go beyond the impersonality. The liberation of the soul is enough. That's what he feels. But not Sri. He's a perfectionist. Okay? He wants you to even make your body-mind life perfect. In other words, you have to go up even more. So, all life, all world existence, we have said, is a sacrifice offered by nature to the Purusha, the one and secret soul in nature. So when he's saying secret soul in nature, that's automatically the cosmic nature. So it's level 2. Because the Purushottama is not in nature, it is transcendent of the nature. The 3 levels are transcendent, cosmic, and individual. Okay. So when he's saying soul in nature, it's a confirmation that is level 2, just like the perfect impersonality. So you have to interpret the words. Huh? So that's what it is. Soul in nature is not the transcendent. It is in cosmos. Okay. So is the sacrifice offered by nature to the Purusha. Nature encap the universal nature, not the individual nature. The one and secret soul in nature, in whom all her workings take place. Workings means all the action of the physical world. Because in level 2, there is no action, there is only immutability. Remember? So all her workings take place where? In the nature, in level 1, in the cosmos as well as the physical world. Physical world is the cosmos. But its real sense is obscured in us by ego, by desire, by our limited, active, multiple personality. Now note the word active. It is limited, we know very well, and it is multiple personality. Again, P lowercase personality is the body-mind life. Multiple. We have a mental personality, we have a vital personality, and we have also the body personality. But here, if he is talking of the soul in nature, then the multiple personality is every human being or every creature even in nature. Multiple. The soul is divided itself. Nature, the soul in nature has divided itself into infinite souls in the physical world. Okay? It could mean both. We have risen out of ego and desire and limited personality, and by impersonality its great corrective. We have found the impersonal God. This is level 2 of the spiritual planes of consciousness, Brahman consciousness. Okay? Self, if you want. You will use the word self. Its great corrective. Corrective of what? Corrective of the nature's limitations. Nature's ignorance. It's corrective of that. Great corrective, we have found the impersonal. We have identified our being with the one self and soul in whom all exist. So this is the level 2 where you experience the cosmic consciousness. Soul and self and soul. The sacrifice of works continues. Even if you have got liberation, the sacrifice of works continues, because in the Karma Yoga, you are continuing to work. You are not given up the physical world. In the other yogas, you have a tendency to not to work. There is nothing left for me to do. Tarika, good morning. We were wondering whether you would join. Okay. So, there was the same.
Good morning, Ranganath. Sorry.
No problem. So, the sacrifice of works continues. In other words, whatever you are doing, you continue to offer it to the divine. Conducted not by ourselves any longer, but by nature. There you are. In the beginning, when you are trying to go from level 1 to level 2, you are making a big effort. It's your ego and your personality, your body, mind, life which is making the effort. Your mental Purusha. But once you have gone to level 2 and you have got the Brahman consciousness of the self, you are not doing anything anymore. You realize that it is nature which is doing. Huh? So then you realize that your ego has disappeared. So who is doing? Nature. Universal nature is acting through you, through your body, mind, life. That's what said this. The sacrifice of works continues, conducted not by ourselves any longer, because there is no person. Your ego has gone, your attachments have gone, and you are now outside the body, mind, life. So naturally, it's nature which is doing it. And you realize that you are not the doer, it is nature which is doing it. And that old habit of continuing to do everything for the Lord continues at the body, mind, life level. But it is nature which is doing it. Operating through the finite part of our being, mind, senses, body. So nature is going at the level, your being, your mind, your senses, body, all this is at level 1, the physical world. So nature is continuing to do that because you have managed to inculcate the habit of sacrifice into your lower nature. Nature operating through the finite part of our being, mind, senses, body. But in our infinite being, okay? Nature operating through the lower, but in our infinite being. Okay? It's not anymore, your consciousness is up. But to whom then is the sacrifice offered, and with what object? He is talking of the going beyond the level 2. Many don't go beyond level 2. They stop there. They are very happy with liberation of the soul. But to whom then is the sacrifice offered, and with what object? For the impersonal has no activity and no desires, no object to be gained, no dependence for anything on all this world of creation, creatures. You have no desires and you have no initiation of action. Only nature goes on acting at the lower level. So, to whom are you offering, and what is the purpose? Okay. The Mayavadin and the Buddhist will answer, there is no purpose at all. That's why I don't act. Okay, that's what they will say. But for Surrender, it is different. But to whom then is the sacrifice offered, and with what object? For the person has no activity and no desires. No activity, because immutable. The level 2 consciousness is immutable. No activity, silent, and no desire, no object to be gained, no dependence or anything on all this world of creatures. It exists for itself, in its own self-delight, okay? In its own immutable eternal being. The soul is there, immutable, your consciousness is there, immutable eternal being. We may have to do works without desire as a means in order to reach the impersonal self-existence and self-delight. But that movement once executed, once you have got the liberation, the object of work is finished. Okay? This is what the normal idea is. The sacrifice is no longer needed. Still, they will not agree. Okay, the Gita also will continue to do that. Gita says now, works may even then continue because your body mind life will continue. You are liberated. Look at Mother and Sri. Even this happen. I am talking Mother and Sri who are the avatars, but even yogis who have attained liberation. There are hundreds of thousands in India. They don't broadcast that they are free, but there are so many. So they continue to work in the body mind life. They don't die. Okay. So for the impersonal, we may have to do works without desire as the means in order to reach the impersonal self-existence and self-delight. But that movement once executed, the object of work is finished. The sacrifice no longer needed. This is a normal idea. Works may even then continue because nature continues and her activities. But there is no longer any further object in these works. The sole reason for our continuing to act after liberation is purely negative. This is again the normal idea. Okay? It's negative. There is no purpose in action. It is just neutral. It is the compulsion of nature on our finite parts of mind and body. But remember, the Gita wants you to work for the divine. Okay? Loka sangrahanartham. Okay, that's the word used. Continue to work with a purpose. Become God's instrument. That is Srirno's and Gita's idea. Don't stop at level 2. Go to level 3. Okay? But if that be all, then first, works may well be whittled down and reduced to a minimum. If your aim in yoga is only to get liberation, you need not work anymore. It makes no sense. May be confined to what nature's compulsion absolutely will have from our body. That is eating, sleeping, and boiling in the morning. Okay, so these are the only things that need to be done. And secondly, even if there is no reduction to a minimum, since action does not matter and inaction also has no object, then the nature of the works also does not matter. So Arjuna, once having attained knowledge, may continue to fight out the battle of Kurukshetra, following his old Kshatriya nature, or he may leave it. This is if your aim is only liberation at level 2. This is what Sri is saying. If it was so, then he can just leave it, or he can continue. It makes no difference. Because what action you are doing is no importance. Tell me.
No, but the nature only is making us do everything, no? Then where is our choice? We don't have a choice, no? The Arjuna doesn't have a choice. If nature is only getting it done, then what choice does Arjuna have?
So that's exactly what Sri is coming to. He's saying that if liberation was the only purpose, okay, then there is no, by the way, when you go to the impersonal level, there is no choice. You're free. Okay, choice comes because you are now in the impersonal. There is no choice at all. You are not choosing anything. You are just living.
Okay. No, when we say that Arjuna could have chosen not to do this, so
that was level 1. Not now. After the liberation, he's talking about the liberation. He's talking about the liberation. Which of these things? So, if his aim would have been only that, then he need not have fought, or he could have fought. It makes no difference. Or he may leave it and live the life of a sannyasin, following his new quietistic impulse. Okay, this is a supposition. Separately discussed. Which of these things he does becomes quite indifferent, or rather, the second is the better way, since it will discourage. Because since it will discourage more quickly the impulses of nature. So don't act. That is better still, he said. Which still have a hold on your mind owing to past created tendency. And when his body has fallen from him, okay, he will securely depart into the infinite and impersonal with no necessity of returning again to the trouble and badness of life in this transient and sorrowful world. Anityam asukam lokam imam prapya. Imam lokam prapya bhajasva mam. That's what it is. Now, Tarika, now the further, okay, if this were so, okay, it's all a supposition that if Arjuna's aim was only to reach liberation, actually Arjuna has no aim at all. He is just in the level 1. It is Sri Krishna who is guiding him. And Sri Krishna is analyzing and saying that if he gets the liberation of the soul, he could have done anything. Okay? And Sri Krishna is even preferring not to do anything. Because if you are stuck at level 2, but if you are stuck at level 3, it's a different story. You have to work and continue to work for God. Okay? That's what he's going to discuss now in the next paragraph, which we shall read now. Okay? So, you have understood now clearly. The level 2 and level 3 are very important. Gita and Sri go to level 3. Continue to work in the physical world. The Mayavadi and the Buddhists and all, they say, no, not necessary. I only want liberation. Sri is not finding fault with it. Each soul has got its own purpose. If you want only liberation and you don't want to come back into rebirth again, you have a choice. There is no problem. Simply saying, but is it not a nobler act to individual liberation? Is it not a little selfish? So why don't you become even less selfish and come down and help others also and do God's work? That's even nobler. So that's the whole idea. Okay? Now, I read the whole para, then we'll see whether we have. I go a little slowly. If this were so, in other words, neither the Gita nor Srimba agree with it, that you stop at level 2, not necessary. If this were so, the Gita would lose all its meaning. There you are. Gita is telling you to go even to the Purushottama level. It would lose all its meaning, for its first and central object would be defeated. But the Gita insists that the nature of the action does matter. What you are doing in the physical world does matter. So you have to go to the third level to find out what action you have to do, and the divine will tell you what action to do. You are not going to decide. Already the lack of decision and lack of choice is there at level 2. Okay? You have no purpose to live. So where is the question of choice? Okay? But in level 3, the divine will choose for you what to do and what not to do. But the Gita insists that the nature of the action does matter, and that there is a positive sanction for continuance in works. Not only that one quiet, negative and mechanical reason, the objectless compulsion of nature. So, objectless compulsion of nature is your body-mind life is being manipulated by nature. It is being manipulated by nature at level 1 also when we are ignorant, but it continues to manipulate your body-mind life even when your soul is in level 2. Okay? But level 3, if you go to with your soul, then the nature of the action below and level 1 can change. It can become meaningful. Okay? At level 2, there is no meaning. So you can stop or you can continue. Okay? That's what he said. Right? Then I read the sentence again. But the Gita insists that the nature of the action does matter. That there is a positive sanction for continuance in works. Not only that one quite negative and mechanical reason. Quite negative. Negative because there is no purpose at level 2. The action is being done, no purpose. And mechanical reason. The objectless compulsion of nature, which is always there. There is still, after the ego has been conquered, a divine law, an enjoyer of the sacrifice. Bhoktaram, yajja tapasam. Bhoktaram, yajja tapasam. Bhoktaram, the enjoyer. Yajja tapasam, of those who are doing yajja. genitive case, yajna tapasa, and there is still an object in the sacrifice. That's it. What is Gita's purpose? After liberation, continue to work. Okay? And there is a purpose in that work. And what is that purpose? Helping others and doing God's work in the universe. Maintenance of loka sangranartha. That's what is the Gita's words. The impersonal Brahman is not the last word. There you are. Impersonal Brahman, level 2. Okay? Is not the last word. Not the utterly highest secret of our being. For impersonal and personal, finite and infinite, turn out to be only two opposite, yet concomitant aspects of a divine being, unlimited by these distinctions, who is both these things at once. That's it, at the third level. In the level 2 of the self, the Brahman consciousness, there is only impersonality. You don't see anybody. You just feel a vast peace. You get knowledge. You get maybe even power. Okay? Love also you may feel. You may feel. But there is nobody. So that's impersonal. But when you go to third level, there is a bird, somebody. There is somebody with whom you can have a personal relationship. Okay. Sri Aurobindo had it in jail with Sri Krishna. But for others, it may not be in the form of Sri Krishna, maybe anything else. But the impersonal and the personal are there at the Lord of Sacrifice at level 3. Okay? Both these things at once. God is an ever unmanifest infinite, ever self-impelled to manifest himself in the finite. Now, when you speak of God, necessarily it is that transcendent, the person as well as the impersonal. Okay? Is an ever unmanifest infinite. Okay? He has not manifested, but he can manifest. Ever self-impelled to manifest himself in the finite. God is always wanting to come down. Okay? But he has 3 levels. The transcendent, where he is unmanifest and outside the universe. The universe has not yet been made. Every individual can experience that aspect of the divine. But then he also comes down into the universe and creates the universe and lives in the universe. That is the universal soul, universal divine. Then the universe creates the forms, and the forms are all the individuals. So body, mind, life are all created by the universe, nature. Okay? The divine is creating first nature and allows nature to create the forms. Okay? This is the way it is done. So God is an ever unmanifest divine, third level. Okay? The transcendent. Ever, the word transcendent itself means that outside the universe, beyond the universe, transcend the universe. God is an ever unmanifest, ever self-impelled to manifest himself in the finite. Note the word self-impelled. Nobody is impelling him. Nobody is telling him to. He is himself wanting to come down. Okay, to manifest himself in the finite. Which is finite? Level 1. Here he is a great impersonal person. So note that. He is a person, but he cannot be limited to a form. He is impersonal person, of whom all personalities are partial appearances. So here the Ansha Sanatana is a word used in each individual is a part of the divine. Ansha, but it is Sanatana, it is eternal. Eternal. He is the divine who reveals himself in the human being, the Lord seated in the heart of man. Again, that famous quote from the Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Tishtati. The divine is there, hiding in the cavern heart of the human being. He is hiding there. Brahmayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudhani Majaya. By his Maya, he is making everybody move through nature. Yes. Knowledge, see, the Lord seated in the heart of man. I'm reading the next sentence. Knowledge teaches us to see all beings in the one impersonal self. When you get knowledge, which is at level 2, you learn to see everybody in the impersonal self. Okay? There's a cosmic consciousness. You start seeing everything contained in the one, the many in the one. That's the one. For so we are liberated from the separated ego sense. And then through this delivering impersonality to see them in this God. Atmani atho mai. First of all, you see it in nature. Then atho mai. After that, in me. In the self and then in me. Self is level 2 and in me level 3. Okay? Our ego, our limiting personalities stand in the way of our recognizing the divine. You can't recognize the divine when you have ego, attachment and desire. Stand in the way of our recognizing the divine, who is in all, and in whom all have their being. So, the divine who is in all is the one in the many. The divine is there in everything, even including stones. Okay? In the who is in all. And in whom all have their being, the many contained in the one. Both these are possibilities of the cosmic consciousness. When you experience the cosmic consciousness, there can be two. You may feel everybody inside you. Okay? The whole universe is inside you. You will feel like that. The famous example of the Bala Krishna eating mud. And Yashoda says, "What are you eating? Open your mouth." And he opens his mouth, the little child, and she sees the whole universe in his mouth. That's a symbol of the cosmic consciousness. But there is another one. That is to say, you can be in everybody else. So Sri Aurobindo calls these two aspects, the apprehending consciousness and the comprehending consciousness. The comprehending consciousness is everything is included in you. And the apprehending consciousness is you can find yourself in everybody else individually. You can go into all the others and experience yourself as part of them. So there's one sonnet is there where he says, to whichever person I turn, I see myself but in another face. Okay, that's a sonnet. Yes, he's got a lot of sonnets, like Shakespeare. Shakespeare also has a huge amount of sonnets.
Which one is it? Which one is it?
I don't remember the title. Tarika, I'll let you know. Okay.
Okay.
Whichever face I turn, I don't remember the title. That's the whole problem.
Okay.
But I'll tell you. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Maybe the cosmic consciousness, but I'll see and tell you. I'll check it up and tell you. I won't forget. So this is what he says. First of all, Atmani. That means in the Atman, which is the Brahmic consciousness. Atho Mai. After that, in me. So 3 levels. First, you are in ignorance. Second, you are not in ignorance. You are in the self. And there, the body-mind life is incomplete, is imperfect, and still subject to ignorance. Then you go to the 3rd level, Atho Mai, which is the Purushottama or the Ishvara. And there, what happens? You can also start changing your nature. That's what. In the self and then in me. Our ego, our limiting personalities stand in the way of our recognizing the divine, who is in all and in whom all have their being. For subject to personality, what does that mean? Subject to body, mind, life. Personality, I told you, you have to interpret correctly. Okay? Personality with a lowercase p, very clear. Okay? Otherwise, you will get confused. What is personality? Personality is your body, mind, life. Okay? Very clearly. Okay? So, subject to personality means you are at level 1. You are identifying yourself with your body, mind, life. We see only such fragmentary aspects of him as the finite appearances of things suffer us to seize. Suffer allows. The word suffer here is an old use. Sri Aurobindo wrote this 100 years ago. So suffer means to experience, to allow, to tolerate. Okay? So appearance of things to us to seize. You can get very It can be mental or it can be, but you have to, sometimes you get an experience also. We have to arrive at him not through our lower personality, but through the high, infinite, and impersonal part of our being. And which is that? Yourself. And that we find, by becoming this self, one in all, in whose existence the whole world is comprised. Right? By rising to level 2 of the Brahman consciousness or the self, that's what you get. You can find impersonal. This infinite, containing, not excluding all finite appearances. Remember, in level 2, you are excluding the world. You are not wanting anything to do with the world. You are rejecting the world, but not in this one. This infinite, containing, not excluding all finite appearances, this impersonal admitting, not rejecting all individualities and personalities, this immobile, sustaining, pervading, containing, okay? Cosmic consciousness, containing, not standing apart from the movement of nature, not standing apart from movement of nature. Okay? You are standing apart from movement of nature in level 2, okay? Is a clear mirror in which the divine will reveal his being. So that's a level 3. Therefore, it is very impersonal that we have to first to attain. That's the first step. Through the cosmic deities who are there in the overmind consciousness, through the cosmic deities, through the aspects of the finite alone, the perfect knowledge of God cannot be totally obtained. So even at the level 1 and level 2 also, even right up to the overmind level, the cosmic deities, you cannot get this insight. You have to go to the supermind. Beyond the overmind, through the aspects of the finite alone, the perfect knowledge of God cannot be totally obtained. Totally. You can obtain lot at level 2, but not total. But neither is the silent immobility of the impersonal self conceived as shut into itself and divorced from all that it sustains, contains and pervades the whole, all revealing, all satisfying truth of the divine. So what is Sri saying here? You have to understand. But neither is the silent immobility of the impersonal self conceived as shut into itself. So what it means is that when you are at level 3, when you are at level 2, you feel that you are outside the universe. It is shutting out everything else. But when you are at level 3, you see that your interpretation of level 2 was wrong. Okay? You can see that even the level 2 is not actually excluding the universe. That's what he's saying. Okay. But neither now that you are in level 3, neither is silent immobility of the impersonal self, which is very clearly level 2, spiritual planes, conceived as shut into itself and divorced from all that is sustained. Divorced from all that is the nature that is sustaining the individual forms, contains and pervades the whole revealing, all satisfying truth of the divine. So that's more central. In fact, then transcendent, cosmic, and individual are all perfectly harmonized, and there is no gulf between them. That's all satisfying. Okay? All revealing and all satisfying. To see that we have to look through its silence to the Purushottama, and he is in divine greatness. He, in his divine greatness, possesses both the Akshara and the Kshara. Akshara, level 2, Kshara, level 1. He is seated in the immobility, but he manifests himself in the movement and in all the action of cosmic nature. He is there everywhere. The transcendent is there in the cosmos. He is also there in the individual, which you don't see at level 2. Okay? But he manifests himself in the movement and all the action of cosmic nature. So now, when he is himself in no movement at all, but he can manifest himself in the movement, but remain hidden. You don't see him so easily. In all the action of cosmic nature. To him, even after liberation, The sacrifice of works in nature continues to be offered. So this is what he didn't say. But now, actually, Arjuna is being told only to rise to the second level, where he is now, he loses his identification with body, mind, life. He is discouraged, and feverishness and refusing to fight will be cured. And he will listen to Arjuna, he will listen to Sri Krishna, who will tell him, continue to fight. There's a purpose. I am telling you to continue to fight. This is what Sri is saying, that most people stop at level 2, but the Gita does not stop at level 2. Continue to do work in the physical world, make it meaningful, and offer it to the Lord. They say, and He will make you do whatever is necessary. You become a perfect instrument of the divine. We have got 5 minutes, so I'll just quickly read the last paragraph. Then, after that, we come to the, if you have to do divine works, after you have reached level 3, what is that work that you have to do? That's the next chapter. Principle of divine works. The real goal of the yoga is then, the word Srila uses the word then in a very interesting manner. Always. It's a sort of, so after all that I've told you, we can conclude. That's the implication. The real goal of the yoga is then a living and self-completing union with the divine Purushottama, and is not merely a self-extinguishing emergence in the impersonal being. So, in the normal yoga, you extinguish your lower nature. After death of the body, mind, life, is completely extinguished, the lower nature. But here in the yoga of the Gita and Sri Ranganath yoga, you have to continue living. It's then a living, not running away, not, we are living, self-completing union. You become complete with the divine Purushottama, level 3, and is not merely a self-extinguishing emergence in the impersonal being. The wave disappears into the sea after it has lived. To raise our whole existence to the divine being, to dwell in him. Mai eva nevasishyasi. You will be living only in me. That's what he is. After level 3. To be at one with him, unify our consciousness with him, with his, to make our fragmentary nature. Okay? He uses this always. He says that when you are identified with your body, mind, life, you are a fraction. But when you are identified with yourself, you are an integer, a full number. Okay? A reflection of his perfect nature. To be inspired in our thought and sense wholly by the divine knowledge. To be moved in will and action, utterly and faultlessly, by the divine will. You don't have a will anymore. The divine is telling you what to do and not to do. So, it's the happiest condition to be a divine slave. At our level, we feel that we are free, but that's totally false. You are not free at all. The real freedom is when you are a slave to God. Okay. It's an interesting way of putting it, but that's the truth. To be moved in will and action utterly and faultlessly by the divine will. To lose desire in his love and delight. The only desire you will be to have his love and delight is man's perfection. It is that which the Gita describes as the highest secret. Uttamam Rahasya. It is the true goal and the last sense of human living and the highest step in our progressive sacrifice of works. For he remains to the end the master of works and the soul of the sacrifice. So, master of works, here is a chapter in the synthesis, the master of works. He is the one who is making you do all the work. That completes the Lord of the sacrifice. So, next time we start a new chapter. The principle of divine works. Okay, you have reached level 3 and you agree to do divine work. But what is that nature of that work? What is it that you have to do? Okay, so that's what the chapter will tell us. Okay? Au revoir, everybody. Have a nice day.
Au revoir, Ranganath. Bonne journée.
Yeah,
Thank you, Rangana.
Yes, Deepak.
impersonal, personal, Urva, everybody.